Okay, here is skill code R7P. So if you need some help with finding common denominators, this is what we're going to be working on. So 2/3 and 9/10 is the one that IXL has just given me. And I have to find a common denominator. Let's say that my math problem wants me to add these or subtract them. Well, I cannot add or subtract if the denominators are not the same. Do we remember all of that? So in order to add or subtract fractions, you must get the denominator equal. So this is where our multiplication chart comes in. I have thirds and I have tenths. Normally, we would try to change the thirds to be tenths. You always want to go with the smaller number and try to change it into the bigger number. Well, if I look on row 3, I can't do that. Okay, 10 is not a multiple of 3, so that is not going to work. So that means that we're going to have to change both of them. So we look on row 3 and row 10 and find something that they have in common. So here's row 3 and there's row 10, and I'm going to keep going. Now these all end in a 0, right? So I need to keep going on this one until I find something that ends in a 0, and that's 30. So the only one that they have in common is they both have a 30. So 30 is going to have to become my denominator. So I put a 30 on both sides, and then I have to change the top. If I change the bottom, I must also change the top. So here's where your chart comes in again. I find 2/3 on my chart. There's 2/3, and I go across until the 3 becomes a 30. So 2/3, and I keep going. Now my 3 is a 30. That makes my 2 become a 20. So that means that this is going to be 20/30ths. Now, what did I really do to change these? I did 3 times 10, and I also did 2 times 10. Okay, whatever you do to the bottom, I had to do times 10 to get a 30. So if I did times 10 down here, I have to do times 10 up here as well. Using the multiplication chart just means you can slide. But this is really what we're doing when we're sliding. I'm going to show you. Here's the 2/3, right? And I went until the 3 became a 30. Well, look what I multiplied by. I was multiplying both the 2 and the 3 by 10. Okay, so that's really what we did. We multiplied both the 2 and the 3 by 10. So what are we multiplying 10 by to get 30? 10 times what? It's 10 times 3. So that means I also have to do 9 times 3. My brain is not working. So 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. So that means I'm going to have 27/30ths. Okay, now remember to enter the answer to this. They really didn't want you to go ahead and work both of them out. They want to know what is the least common denominator. Well, the smallest common denominator we could find between 3 and 10 was 30. That's the only number that they both had in common. So on my IXL chart, all I have to do is type in 30 because they just wanted to know what is the least common denominator. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. It wants to know the least common denominator between 3/4 and 1/3. Okay, so normally we would try to take the smaller one and make it match the bigger one. Well, we cannot do 3 times anything to make it a 4, so we have to change both. So we look on row 3 and 4, and we find something that they both have. Well, they both have a 12. So that means our least common denominator, or what we would change the bottoms to if we had to work a math problem with these, would be 12. So that'd be 4 times 3 is 12, so 3 times 3 would be 9. 3 times 4 gives me 12, so 1 times 4 gives me 4. But again, all we're looking for is what is the least common denominator. The least common denominator is 12, so that's what I would type into IXL. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump up a level and see what kind of problems it gives me in the next level. Okay, that's still the same. Okay, so now what they're doing is they want you to actually do the math like we were doing in our example. So we have, they're giving us 11/12 and 1/6. And they want us to write equivalent fractions for these two using the least common denominator. What does that mean? They want us to actually make the new fractions with a common denominator. So what is the smallest common denominator both 6 and 12 have? Okay, so can I change the 6 into a 12? Yes, I can. 6 times 2. So that's going to be 12. Now, whatever I do to the bottom, I must also do to the top. So this one is going to be 2 12ths. This one is going to stay the same because it's already a 12. So what I would type in is they have on the screen, it looks like this, and then they give you a box. And so you're just going to type in 11 12ths, just like that. And then next to 1/6, they have a box. And so you're going to type in 2/12. Okay? So that's how you work those problems. I'm going to jump up 11 or a level, sorry. This is the challenge zone. This time they're just giving you 3 fractions. So instead of giving you 2 fractions, they're giving you 3, and you have to find the common denominator for all 3. That's if you want to try to get your SMART score up to 100. Remember, I give 1 dojo point for a SMART score of 80. I give 2 dojo points for a SMART score of 90. And I give 3 dojo points for a SMART score of 100. So if you and your parents are working on a reward system at home for your dojo points, you can get more dojo points for going towards a SMART score of 100. All right, I'm going to give you another video for the other skill code.